Hi, welcome to the Blue Skies Ukulele Orchestra Workshop 2020. My name is Heather Katz and I have been running the ukulele workshop for the last few years. When I was asked to do it again this year, it was before the whole COVID schlemazel happened, and I had a thought in mind. I thought that we would learn this next song, the song that I'm going to workshop for you now, and then on our performance Sunday after Magoo introduced us, we would keep him out on stage and surprise him with this little ditty. Well, of course, things changed for all of us this year, and I thought that in honor of our 50th coming up, perhaps we take the opportunity to learn this song ahead of time so that we could all bring our ukuleles to the hill on Friday night, and after Magoo takes his famous shower, we could shower him with this. So you might recognize these chords. And the harmony of my safari suit. My safari suit. Yes, it is the famous safari suit song that Magoo plays after he wets himself in the shower and dresses in his spiffy new suit. So the chords for this are familiar to some of you. The G chord is one that we play often in songs that we learn. The D6 chord is another one that we're going to use. Very simple chord. And we'll talk about, some different ways to play that. There's a C chord involved. Now, if you took a look online, we have had some, I don't know if we had a brochure printed up for this. I think we did. And I've included the lyrics and the chords for this song. So if you have that, you might want to get that ready and take a look at it while I'm teaching you the workshop. I'm going to go through the chords in a numerical fashion, which tells you what fret to put your fingers in, but not necessarily what finger to use, but I will make that simple by telling you that. So the song starts out in a G chord, and the G chord numerically is 1, 2, no it's not, it's 0, 2, 3, 2. And what that means is 0 talks about that top string, your 4th string. And so 0 means you have no fingers on anything there. 2 on the 3rd string, I put my 1st finger there. We have 3 on the 2nd string, and then 2 again on the 1st string. So 0, 2, 3, 2 looks like that. 0, 2, 3, 2, right? It's a little triangle that you form with your hands. And most of you that have played ukulele know this chord. The next chord that we're going to use is a D6 chord. Now many of you know a D chord, and a D chord numerically is 2, 2, 2, which is 2, 2, 2, all on an angle in the 2nd fret. 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, and open. But we're playing a D6 chord, and a D6 chord numerically is 2, 2, 2, 2. And how are we going to cover all of those? Well, you could put your pinky down, which would cover it, except that that's a lot of fingers on getting onto a uke very quickly. And what I like to do is I like to use my index finger, keep it very, very straight, and spread it on the 2nd fret, covering all of the strings, right? And I want to make sure that my thumb is right behind that finger so that the pressure between my finger and the thumb is equal, right? I'm doing this with the neck of the ukulele in the middle. And that's going to be right on the 2nd fret, okay? Now some people, if their hands haven't built a little bit of strength between those, you might like to cross your 2nd finger over your 1st finger and double up on that press, okay? The next chord we're going to use is a C chord. Now generally C chord is 0, 0, 0, 3, with the 3 being your 3rd finger. That is one option, and later on in our tutorial I'll show you another option. It's always good to not get married to using the same finger all the time, because where you've come from and where you're going might mean that if you used a different finger, you could get to where you were going quicker, or where you've come from quicker. right? So we're going to look at some options there. And then the last chord that we're going to use, actually we're going to use two more chords. We're going to use a D chord, which involves that D6 chord, but we're also going to use our pinky, and we're going to use an E flat chord, which is exactly the same shape. I'm going to put these behind so you can see, right? Exactly the same shape, only starting on the 3rd fret. Okay, so that's just a little bit of a quick rundown about the chords that we're going to use. If you're familiar with the chords, then you can just play along when we get to that point. But I'm going to actually take you through a bit of a tutorial about how to get from one to another in what I think is probably the easiest manner. The first chord being the G chord, 0, 2, 3, 2, right? So it should sound like this. And also, again, you want to make sure that your thumb is behind those 3 fingers. Sometimes people get stuck with choking the neck of the ukulele. And when you're doing that, you've got too much tension in your hand and you're really not able to move around the neck very quickly, right? So if you leave a little space in here, right, and you have your thumb just pointed up to the ceiling at the back, supporting the pressure, so half of the pressure is on the fingers and half is on the thumb, then you're going to be able to move around a lot more quickly. And once you get to be a little bit more of a proficient player, as you go up the neck of the ukulele, if your thumb is at the back, it's much easier to move your whole hand along, right? So the strum that we're going to use for this is very simple. It's just a 1, 2, 3, 4 strum, right? The song is in 4/4 time. So on that G chord, we're going to start out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I'm just going down, and before the next one, I sometimes throw in an up. You don't have to. You could just go down, 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 right? But I go down, 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 up, down, 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 right? Very simple, and it gives it kind of a jazzy and a little nice, nice movement to it. So the next chord after the G, now notice when I'm playing the G chord, I've got my index finger already in the 2nd fret. So all I have to do to get to that D6 chord, which is 2, 2, 2, 2, is straighten that finger and take the other ones off, right? If I'm doubling up, I can do that. So I go from my G chord either to a double or from my G chord to a single D6 chord, okay? And it sounds like this, right? And the 6th chord is a little bit of a jazzier feel than a D chord. This is what the D chord sounds like. And the D6 chord sounds like this. It's got a little nicer flavor, right? Might be a little bit of a cherry on top of that chocolate sundae. And then the chord after that D6 chord is your C chord. And I've got my 2nd finger either free, or I've got it right here on top of my 1st finger if I want that extra pressure. So to go to the C chord, instead of going with my 3rd finger, which if that feels more comfortable and if you're used to C with a 3rd finger, you might have the muscle memory for that and it might go there naturally. You just take those off. But what I like to do, if I'm playing it with 1 finger, I just put that 2nd finger down and lift that. Or if I'm doubling up, I do the same. So the 3 chords, the 3 main chords for the body of the song are repetitive. It goes from the G to the D6 to the C. And then this is the movement. G, D6, C. Once I'm on the C, I'm going to be going back to the G. Now if I've chosen to use my 2nd finger, it's an easy move. I take that finger and I just slide it back and put the other 2 fingers on. So the movement back to the G would be G, D6, C, slide back to the G, and then that repeats. When we get to the chorus, we are going to be on the C chord here, and then we're going to go to a D chord, but not the D that most people are used to playing with 3 fingers in the 2nd fret. We're going to start with that D6, and we're going to use our pinky to go onto the first string in the 5th fret, so that the numerical value of this version of D is 2, 2, 2, 5. Okay? Right? And when we go up to that E flat chord, we take that entire shape, release the pressure slightly, slide everything up 1 fret, including the thumb, we don't want to leave that behind, and we've got E flat. Okay, so we're going to run through the chords from the beginning. So the verse goes like this. I can take a shower any old hour of the day. Right, and then I slide that second finger back to the G. Even if it's freezing, I can see no reason for dismay. Now we go to that D chord with the bar D6 and the pinky. Oops, no we don't. We stay on the C chord first. We stay there. Afterwards, there's nothing holds a candle. That's where we go to the D chord with the D up on our first string. Right? To the comfort of a sock and a sandal. And notice what I'm doing is I've got my second finger and I'm not moving this too far away because I'm switching from here to there, to there, to there. So the idea with your fingers is they're always hovered over the fretboard, right? And you want them to be square. So I've got my first finger at 2, my second finger, if I was using it's at 3, my third finger's at 4, and my pinky's at 5. Right? So I want to keep my hands square. So I'm going from the C to the D, back to the C, back to the D. Okay, and you might want to try that as I'm showing you. Play the C with your second finger, and then go to the D chord with the barred D and your pinky on 5 on the first string. And we do that twice in the part where we have the verse. Whoops. Nothing. No. That's not the words. Afterwards, there's nothing holds a candle to the comfort of a sock and a sandal. And it's all made fashionable to boot. And then what we do is we do our slide up to the E flat and very gently go 1, 2, 3. In my safari. Then we go back to the beginning of the G. Suit. Slide back into the G. Safari suit. Now that's the whole song. Each verse is the same in the number of times you play the G to the D6 to the C. We do that twice. And then we go to the second part, the pre-chorus, which is the C to the D to the C to the D to the C to the D. And then take the D up to that E flat. And then the chorus goes back to the G to the D6 to the C. Okay? All again downstrokes. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about finessing those downstrokes. It's a really neat thing that you can do in the pressure of your fingers on the strings. You can play your G and keep your pressure even for the entire time you're playing it. And notice it's ringing, but there's no stop, there's no percussiveness to it. If I'm just playing those downstrokes and keeping my pressure even. But what I can do is I can squeeze my fingers at the same time that I'm strumming. And so if I release the pressure after the strum, what that also does is it releases the ringing. It stops the vibration, like this. So it's it's more percussive sounding. So I can go squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then when I switch to the D6, squeeze, 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 right? So it gives it a much more percussive sound to your strum. On the C chord, you only have one string covered, so you don't get the same kind of release that you're going to get if you're just squeezing the one string. So what I often do with my right hand is I'll strum, stop it. Right? So it's squeeze, 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 D6, squeeze, 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 C, stop, 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 stop. Gives it a little jazzier feel to it. When we've got the C to the D, same thing. And you can see that I'm just squeezing. And then when we go up to the E flat chord, we're going to let it ring in the middle. We're not going to release that because we want that to be a little bit slower, and we're going to let it ring in there. So on the verse, once again, on the G chord, squeeze, 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 to the D6, squeeze, 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 C. And we stop it in the middle. And then we repeat that. To the D6, and then to C. And then we stay on the C, C, and the D with the pinky, and back to C, and then the D with the pinky, and then again with the C and the D with the pinky, and slide up 1, 1, 2, 3, chorus. My safari suit. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to do the whole first verse with the pre-chorus and the chorus, and so we can all play it together. And I'm going to slow it down a little bit. You can probably replay this. I'm thinking, Michael's nodding. Yes, Michael's doing the filming here. Thank you, honey. And you can replay it, and you can stop it when you need to and go through it. Okay, but the idea is that you get a chance to learn it, and next year on the hill, as many ukuleles as we can have, we will help accompany the fabulous Magoo in his safari suit. Oh, I can take a shower any old hour of the day. Remember to bounce your fingers. Even if it's freezing, I can see no reason for dismay. We're gonna stay on the C, 'cause afterwards there's nothing holds a candle. Add your pinky to the comfort of a sock and a sandal, and it's all made fashionable to boot. Go up 1 fret, 1, 2, 3, in my safari suit. My safari suit. Now you'll notice if you've got the lyrics in front of you, on the part where you go into the chorus, which is just the line, my safari suit, above the section that says, in my safari, it says NC. And what that means is no chord. Because after we've gone up to that E flat, 1, 2, 3, we don't start strumming again until we actually sing the word suit, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, and C, no chord. In my safari suit. anytime you see a piece of music on the internet, and sometimes, you know, you'll go on there and you'll be looking for songs. If you see NC, that's what it means. It means that you're singing there without actually playing something. And this would be the point in the workshop where I'd say, does anybody have any questions? So does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, well, you can email me if you want to ask me anything. It would be heather-katz@hotmail.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the piece. But I hope that you have a wonderful experience here in our virtual Blue Skies family, and I look forward to seeing you all next year. Michael's pointing something to me.
It's a song.
And what?
Play the song all through.
You want me to play the song from the beginning to the end?
Yes, so that everybody can play along.
He wants me, okay, well, you know, I could do that. Fine. Can you tell we're married? I can take a shower any old hour of the day. Even if it's freezing, I can see no reason for dismay. 'Cause afterwards there's nothing holds a candle to the comfort of a sock and a sandal. And it's all made fashionable to boot. Here we go. In my safari suit, my safari suit, 3-part harmony. I can hear you all. Well, it was down at Value Village, in amongst the pillage, slightly used. I threw it across my back. As we pulled it off the rack, we were amused. Then we dressed it up with braids and dragonflies, some stars to put the sparkle in your eyes. I'm spiffier than Newton the Nude in my safari suit. I can hear Magoo singing it. My safari suit. Should have gone to Value Village. I wonder if they're open. Oh, life is hustle bustle. Sometimes it's a fuss, I'll say. But life is pressure ceaseless. I stay crisp and creaseless night and day. The polyesters blend to keep me sharp. It's a made-to-measure, custom-tailored tarp. A trend to render fashionistas mute. In my safari suit. My safari suit. Oh, life takes a turn. Some will have you learn to shift a gear. Sure did that this year. If something comes unraveled, try the road less traveled. Watch where you steer. Like when I took a shine to shave the paint, there were bumps and turns in places that ain't straight. But goodness me, it's slick, one can't refute. In my safari suit. Sway with me. My safari suit. Well, I can take a shower any old hour of the day. Even if it's freezing, I can see no reason to delay. 'Cause afterwards there's nothing holds a candle to the comfort of a sock and a sandal. And it's all made fashionable to boot. I love this E flat. In my safari suit. My safari suit. My safari suit. This is called repeat and fade. Suit. Happy blue skies, everybody.